For most people, abroad presents better opportunities for them. I know people who were doing very, very well in Ghana and moved here because of their children. Develop your skills. Get yourself to a point where you are able to secure yourself better jobs. And this will help reduce some of those challenges, if not take them off completely. And because of the exchange rate, the little you are able to save living abroad when sent home is able to help you build a project like a house. The challenges will always be there, but it will always be up to you to decide if it is worth it for you or not. An advice I keep giving my friends or colleagues and others who interact with me is, yes, living abroad is difficult. It is never easy. But if you do get a chance to travel, even if not to live there, take it. Hello and welcome to my channel once again. As usual, this is the Elder. If you are new here, please subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon so that whenever I make a post, you'll be among the first to be notified of it, and I'm sure you are going to enjoy it. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for always making it a point to listen to what I have to share. One other thing that makes life a little difficult for people who travel abroad is the fact that when you travel, especially when you don't have family with you, you realize the importance of all the social connections you had back home. I remember in Ghana, where I live, when I step outside my house, there is already about 10 people that I have to greet and talk to. By the time I walk from my house to the roadside, I might have met like about 1,000 people already. But that isn't the situation when you travel. Abroad, you find yourself lonely. When you have issues, you don't really have anyone to talk to. Most people get depressed more often when they travel abroad because they just have no one to talk to. This is also one reason why a lot of people just immerse themselves into their work, because if they stay home, they will only be depressed. There's no one to talk to, and you find yourself alone all the time. You can talk to your family back home, you can talk to friends, but for how long? It still doesn't replace the social connections you used to have back home. At least you knew when you have issues, there were people who were always around to talk to. There were people who were always around to listen. But when you travel, you realize this aspect of your life is often done for. If you are lucky enough to find yourself in a community where you find people who share the same culture, traditions, same traits, or your fellow countrymen, then you can get closer and make friends. But even that, people have to work. So you can't just get up one day because you are feeling lonely and go to your friend's place because you want to. Because you may be working days, that person may be working nights. So you still don't really get that social connection like you used to have when you were back home. And this always creates challenges for you to have to deal with. And you have to find ways to keep yourself occupied. This is why most people are so ready to attend events that they find around them. Like if there is a wedding within the community, or there's a funeral, or any other social event, they are so ready to attend. Because who knows, this may be one of the few opportunities where they get to actually meet their friends and have a chat and laugh. Otherwise, even though they have friends, they still have to remain in their own space and not get the chance to meet each other and interact. One other thing too is the weather, especially during winter. For those of us who come from Africa, we are used to these very hot temperatures. So when you move to a place like Canada, where it is very cold, or where it can get very cold during the winter, you just have to cope. When you happen to come from Africa, like some of us, where we are used to having the hot temperatures, it's always summer, and you move to a place like Canada where it can really get very cold during the winter, this winter period will always be a challenge for you. You can wear all the gloves, all the thermals, all the boots, all the heavy socks, and still feel the cold in your toes and fingertips and in your face. And that alone is a big challenge, especially if you have no choice but to work outdoors. This winter is almost always a challenge, especially for people who do not drive. Because when you do not drive, guess what? You have to go stand outside in the cold waiting for a bus to and from work, or to church, or to any other place that you want to go, whether grocery shopping or visiting friends, etc. And for people who drive too, you wake up in the morning ready to leave for work, only to realize your car is covered in snow, heavy snowstorm, and you now have to spend that time to clear all of the snow off your car before you are able to move it. And there are always ways around it though. There are always ways for you to be able to cope. It's not always going to be perfect, but you just have to cope. So with this all being said, the question arises, why not go back home and enjoy your forever summer, your comfort zone, your family, your friends? Well, the answer isn't that simple either. One thing I always say is, people who travel abroad always have their reasons. For most people, abroad presents better opportunities for them. When you travel abroad, like I said, you will almost always find yourself a job. The only question is it the kind of job you want? With your level of education, your level of experience, is this the kind of job you want to do? You may have to start from scratch, which is the norm for a lot of people. But at least you still find yourself a job. I know many people from back home who graduate with their degrees, their masters, and still not able to secure themselves a job. And even if they do find one, it's way below minimum wage, and they can barely survive on it. So such a person traveling abroad gets these better opportunities where at least they are able to find themselves a job or 2 or 3 jobs and able to support themselves and their families. There are people who also have better jobs back home. Like I said, there are people who are in the health sector, nurses, doctors, dentists. There are people who work in the banking sector. There are teachers, businessmen who make good money back home. When these people travel, most of the time it's not just for themselves, but for the future of their children. I know people who were doing very, very well in Ghana and moved here because of their children. You may be doing well, all right. You may be making all the money, living comfortably. Take your children to the best schools and what have you. But can you guarantee that they are going to live the same comfortable life that you are living? Fortunately or unfortunately, traveling abroad happens to be the only way some people can guarantee the success of their children and their children's children and generations to come. So even when they are making good money, when they are living good, comfortable lives back home, they will still take the opportunity to travel so that they can ensure their children and their children's children's futures are going to be a success. One of the perks that come with living abroad too is you earn in the currency of that country. So like if you're living in Canada, you earn in Canadian dollars. Or you're living in Europe, you earn in euros or pounds. And because of the exchange rate, the little you are able to save living abroad when sent home is able to help you build a project like a house or build a business or start something profitable back home. I know people who live abroad who were able to save enough to build mansions home. Something they had no hope of ever doing if they had stayed and not traveled. I know people who have been able to support their families back home with their schooling, work, and in a lot of ways. And though their families haven't traveled, at least they are able to survive and live comfortably back home, all because their brother or sister or son or family member is abroad and is supporting them. So yes, living abroad comes with its own challenges. It can be very difficult. It is not easy, but it comes with its own perks. It is a stage that you just have to adjust to and build yourself on them. Many people who travel have to face these challenges in their first few years. But as you gain more work experience, you are able to put yourself in a position where you get into higher paying jobs or higher paying positions. And it gets to a point where you don't have to work that many jobs just to survive. Or you can also put yourself through school, get better degrees in that country, and get yourself more employable. Develop your skills. Get yourself to a point where you are able to secure yourself better jobs. And this will help reduce some of those challenges, if not take them off completely. An advice I keep giving my friends or colleagues and others who interact with me is, yes, living abroad is difficult. It is never easy. But if you do get a chance to travel, even if not to live there, take it. Move there. Just see things, experience things for yourself. Sometimes that experience turns out to be the difference that you needed. Maybe you may decide to stay or go back, but that experience you gain is always worth it. I know people who travel abroad, work a few years, and they are able to save enough capital to go back home and start their businesses. Like I said, people who travel always have their reasons. You don't necessarily have to live abroad all your life. You can travel like other people do, make enough money, go back home, and start your business. You can only travel just for visiting, for vacations, etc. People also travel just to further their education. And there are some who also travel for work opportunities. So there is a lot of reasons why someone may travel. The challenges will always be there, but it will always be up to you to decide if it is worth it for you or not. I am sure I have answered most of your questions, if not all, by now. If you still have any questions, be sure to go down there in the comment section and leave your questions or your different perspectives. Thanks for watching this video and for giving me an ear. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you get to be notified of the next video that I make. And I am sure, as usual, you are going to love it. Have a nice day.